2, oui. Alors, nous sommes dans le noir. Il devrait y avoir de la lumière sous peu. Ah, voilà.
Bravo.
C'est un très bel accueil. Vous avez des questions, commentaires? Any questions, comments?
Je peux demander une question?
Ouais, madame, monsieur, madame, allez-y.
Sur quelle base ce film a été filmé avec des acteurs qui sont vraiment fantastiques parce que je suis vraiment dans
La fille de quoi, pardon?
qui est tombée dans la grande concentration, on a le pôle.
Ouais.
Et puis le jeune, c'est qui a été puni, malheureusement, c'est injuste. Mais
ouais.
on ne peut pas trouver les charges de ce marché. Je comprends pas ce que ressort de ce faire les jurys de nous.
Je suis pas certain de comprendre votre question, mais...
Non. De ce film-là qu'on voit le jury là, qu'est-ce qu'ils veulent nous faire?
So there's a comment here regarding the scene at the concentration camp where the ladies, she doesn't really understand why the good people are the bad people, yeah, and why the teacher actually is not getting guilty, and why it's not Maximilian, and so on which base are you? What you did that? Yeah.
Sorry, it's one question only. What this movie give us like a lesson?
If there's any lesson regarding this film, probably.
I'm sorry because you said a lot of other things that I didn't understand, but
So that how come he was not absolved? Because he could have just said, "I'm not guilty." And that's
maybe I should answer them.
It's the same question, you know.
Yes, regardless.
It's about the same thing.
She also wanted to know why they didn't know this was scarred.
Well, the scarf was
because the scarf was put around, so the two boys took the scarf and put it around the girl's neck.
Are you still trying to answer? Because I think...
No, I don't know, because now it's different questions.
Sorry, madam, one question only. I want to know, why this movie was done, for what reason, to teach what? To learn about what? That God exists, that God doesn't exist, the justice of people.
I think you're answering the question yourself, because the film has been made so that you can maybe talk about all these things that we don't talk about anymore in Germany. This whole issue of God in the film, when the film was presented in Germany, it's, I mean, it might not be a big question here, but if you ask that kind of question in Germany, people think you're stupid, because God doesn't exist for intellectual people or artists or whatever. So that's one of the things the film is talking about. So the film is an invitation to talk about all these things. It doesn't give answers for everything, that's true.
But it's just so negative.
Ok, je vais juste faire une traduction, désolé. Juste faire une traduction de ce qui vient de se dire. En fait, donc le film traite de thématiques, de sujets peut-être qui sont restés... Excusez-moi, je suis désolé, je veux juste parler, s'il vous plaît. Alors le film traite de sujets peut-être peut-être que le peuple allemand omet de parler, que ce soit Dieu ou que ce soit même à certaines limites d'être satirique envers eux-mêmes, envers les Allemands, de pouvoir rire de soi. J'ai déjà fait d'autres périodes de questions-réponses avec eux et souvent la cinéaste a parlé que les Allemands, peut-être à quelques reprises, souvent les Allemands sont très bons pour rire des autres, mais de rire d'eux-mêmes, c'est peut-être des sujets tabous. Et puis, comme la cinéaste vient de l'expliquer, le film ne donne pas nécessairement de réponse ne donne pas nécessairement de réponse claire, mais traite de sujets qui visiblement fait parler. Donc, je crois que là, présentement, ça anime une discussion intéressante. C'est des sujets qui peuvent amener à parler et peut-être à être émotifs aussi. Une autre question? Oui, madame.
C'est plutôt un commentaire. Félicitations, j'ai adoré le film. J'ai adoré cette façon absurde de voir les gens aimer la diversité, tout ça. Je pense que c'est comme ça qui monte avec l'humour, la tragédie, tout ça. Je pense que c'est ça qui m'a laissé.
So she congratulations with the film. She really enjoyed the humoristic aspect of the film, and it's in the way it's built and editing with the actor. Thank you very much. Merci. Oui, monsieur, c'est là.
Just to put in a point, the last scene with the African woman, where she came forward and she said, "Wouldn't it be better if man had never been in the world?" And I was wondering, because I also had the same questioning as the woman. Was I right or was I wrong?
That would be in fact very negative. There's a scene after that maybe gives a little bit of an answer to that question. But of course, after this film, you get to decide what you think. And that's maybe, this question came up quite a lot in the festival, why the bad guy survives, because we're not used to that. We see films where the bad guys have always been punished. And me, as a German, I'm raised in a culture with fairy tales, where also the bad people get punished. But this is not reality. I'm a documentary filmmaker, so I come from a very realistic background of filmmaking, and actually it's not often the case that the bad guys really get punished. So maybe that's provoking to some people. I understand that very well, but I think it's also interesting to think about it. So, yeah.
Alors, donc c'est ce que le film suscite, en fait, pourquoi que les mauvaises personnes ou les personnes qui sont coupables, pourquoi c'est pas eux qui sont punis, et comme c'est bien expliqué ici, on grandit des fois souvent sous des contes de fées où c'est la mauvaise personne qui est punie et la bonne personne est récompensée. Mais des fois, c'est peut-être pas la réalité. À quelques reprises, ça peut être le contraire. La cinéaste vient d'un parcours plus du documentaire et
I don't really see it as like that. I think a lot of it is about touching and touching. And the last thing, of course, is the reconciliation of touch and feeling, and a lot of the characters actually, they have these skins around them, be they fursuits or cars, it's sort of like an armor. And so they can't sort of touch other people. It's impossible to communicate. And so I think this is another aspect. I don't think that these people are ugly. They're just some of them are mean, but others are gentle and kind. So.
Alors, sommes-nous autant affreux ou laids? Telle est la question. Ici, le scénariste parle aussi que c'est peut-être pas quelque chose qui est un constat des gens qui sont si laids ou si affreux, mais il a voulu traiter d'une façon un peu plus touchante le feeling. Alors, la plupart des personnages dans le film ont une certaine enveloppe, une couverture, que ce soit de la fourrure, la voiture, pour démontrer un peu les problèmes de communication ou des problèmes c'est ça, de communication et d'interaction avec les gens. Alors c'est un peu de cette façon qu'ils ont voulu montrer. Oui, madame?
One comment and a question. The casting was fantastic. And the question is, did you write it together? Did you write it together?
Yes, we wrote the screenplay together. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You can mention where. How did you write the script?
You know already. You should say. Well, the thing is, Chris and I are also married, so a lot of the things that are in the film, they come from dreams, I would say, that we've had, and it's very practical. In fact, if the person...
Nightmares.
And nightmares, too, yeah, of course. There's some scenes in it that are probably our worst nightmares. But, so it's quite practical if the person who you write with is right next to you, and you can wake that person up and say, see what it is, drive it and let's put it into the script. So, yeah.
C'est conscient aussi, je vais le dire. Alors, on a eu un commentaire ici concernant les acteurs, le casting du film. Très très bon choix de casting. Et puis, ils ont demandé s'ils ont écrit l'histoire ensemble. Et oui, effectivement, il se trouve que ce sont un couple dans la vie, ils sont mariés. Et puis, beaucoup des idées du film ont germé souvent de rêves ou de cauchemars. Et petite anecdote ici, la cinéaste dit que c'est fort pratique après avoir fait un rêve ou un cauchemar. Souvent, c'est des idées aussi qui germaient du subconscient. Donc, d'avoir près de soi le scénariste de ton film pour faire le film, c'est très pratique. Oui, monsieur.
You just partially answered my question, because I was going to say that the film had a dreamlike, surreal atmosphere to it, but what you were saying earlier is that Germans would understand it in a certain way, and I was wondering if this is a giant metaphor and Germans would understand it differently than people in other countries like North America because of all the references. And my second question is the preponderance of smoking. Does that have any significance? Two questions.
Answer the smoking question, but actually I was very curious because this is our international premiere, so we have only screened it in Germany so far, and actually I was very surprised how much people understood what the point of the film was. I'm sure that there are some references that would be missed out, but I think what the film is about and what the episodes are about, that's pretty clear. And I'm very happy about that, because I wasn't sure if you could really transform it.
But when I went surreal, like the series of strange coincidences, weird personalities, it obviously has a nightmarish quality, like the man in the forest, totally unrealistic, and then he would just shoot automatically for revenge at just any car that passes by, and it's the person that's another protagonist, and his girlfriend is back there in the oven. So all these coincidences, I see the film as a giant metaphor, and I was wondering what you would say is the actual overall metaphor of the film, if there is one. Representing what, actually? Or is it too detailed and complicated?
Well, as we discussed before, there are different ways you could see the film, and you could come to a different solution, so I can't give it to you. You have to think about it a little bit. But I guess it's not very, the look of the film, because somebody just asked, you could just ask if we are really that ugly. And it's, of course, it's about ugliness, but it's set in a beautiful light. And that was also the concept of the film, not to, make another very, movie with a gray, depressing look, like in Germany we like to do these kind of films. To do something that is actually yet fun watching it, because it's because people also, they look beautiful in the film. That's what I think. Although they have their dark side, so it's kind of course, that was one of the main aspects while doing the film. And also there are lots of aspects that are not very German. For example, the children wearing school uniforms. We don't have school uniforms in Germany, and if so, not that kind. This is more like a British thing. So there are lots of things that are not very realistic, but yet I think it gives me as a director the freedom to talk about different things, not about what's actually happening out there when you go out there, but about maybe bigger themes or ideas. I don't know.
Yes, and we wanted the bad guy to look extremely good. He had to be the best looking young man we could find, or Frauke. And but to the smoking question you had, that I think we only noticed it. I think when the film was done, it was very strange. Everyone was smoking. I don't know why.
But you wrote it into the screenplay.
Sorry?
You wrote
No,
it.
it's not. Well, is it? I don't remember. It is in the screenplay. Yeah.
But,
But it was not, for some reasons, for several reasons, the actors came up with always lighting a cigarette for somebody, which is, I don't know who of you smokes, but it's quite intimate to do that. You don't do that with people you don't really know. And people do it constantly. And then when we were shooting the scene in Africa, there was no other way because there was so much wind that the actors couldn't, she couldn't light the cigarette. So it happened again. So in the end, there are all these people who give cigarettes to others, and sometimes it's very oppressive, like when the boy sits in the car with the mother and father, and she lights the cigarettes and gives it to him, and she kind of forces him, and so I don't know. I don't really know why it happens. It's but some of these things are coincidences, the way it is in the film, and yeah.
Alors, les rapports humains via la cigarette, via le partage de la cigarette. On a eu un commentaire ici d'abord concernant les références culturelles au film. Le film peut être à la fois avec certaines coïncidences et certains aspects très réalistiques. On a parlé des rêves et du subconscient, mais il y a aussi des références culturelles qui peuvent être très réalistes à l'Allemagne et d'autres qui peuvent être aussi non réalistes, comme le fait que les enfants de l'école aient un uniforme. En Allemagne, ils n'ont pas ça. Donc il y a ces dualités-là dans le film. On a demandé s'il y avait une métaphore centrale. On ne penserait pas. C'est à vous aussi d'en décider. Le film offre cette ouverture-là via la métaphore. Et puis, c'est ça. Après, on a parlé des rapports humains avec la cigarette, comme quoi que c'est très étrange et intéressant de voir à chaque fois pourquoi c'est souvent une personne qui allume une cigarette pour un autre. Donc, à vous de vous questionner sur cette représentation. Alors, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Yeah, you're more than welcome to continue the discussion outside the room if you like. Merci. Thank you. I'm glad I've seen the film twice.